Welcome to Whispers of the Web, where the hidden gems of the web come to life. Join us as we unravel the most fascinating tales, secrets, and discussions from across the web. Every whisper has a story. If you enjoy our journey through the whispers of the web, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the intrigue. Story number 1. I manipulated and lied to my mom and a bunch of family. A few years ago, I wanted to dye my black hair a lighter color. However, I knew my mom would never go for it, and I didn't want to wait until I was 18 to do it. I did some research and realized baking soda and hydrogen peroxide bleaches hair. I went to my mom, pretended that I suddenly got the idea that putting baking soda in my hair would have health benefits, and convinced her to let me do it. I mixed everything together. My mom didn't know about the hydrogen peroxide and bleached my hair. I knew that doing this went against my mom's religious beliefs. Then I convinced my mom that I was surprised about my hair's new color. My mom told a lot of people, including professional hairstylists who she's friends with. I have bleached my hair repeatedly since then, and now she thinks that my natural hair has turned brown. I grew up in a very strict household as well. Not religiously strict, but authoritarian nonetheless. I don't blame you one bit for wanting to explore who you are as a person despite the restrictions of your household. I don't see this as manipulation in the slightest, just a kid wanting to do what she can to be herself despite the familial pressure to conform to religious standards. Story number 2. I have violated my roommate's privacy because of my insane worries. I have been diagnosed, 4 years ago, with OCD, in particular related to contamination, like germs, bacteria, body fluids, and pollutants. I am particularly sensitive to cigarette smoke. It freaks me out and doesn't allow me to get close to any cigarette smokers. My new roommate is a smoker, and his room is next to mine. I didn't know him, but his look was quite bold. He has piercings, tattoos, looks very tall, and he gave me an overall bad impression. Yesterday, he wrote a message on our house chat group that he wouldn't be home, and tonight I happened to not be able to sleep because of the terror that he might smoke in his room through the window, contaminating mine as well. I decided to walk in his room knowing he wouldn't be there to check for any sign of him smoking inside his room, but I found him still sleeping. I pretended I suffer from sleepwalking, and this allowed me to know him better. Turns out, the dude is a super well-educated guy who has a chemical engineering degree, and offered to help me relax, drink some water, and get fresh air. I apologized to him and gave him a lift to work as he doesn't have a car or a bike. Now I feel terrible because I did something terrible to a genuinely nice guy, and even pretended an illness. I know sleepwalking isn't an illness, and I feel like an immature douchebag who deserves absolutely no love from anyone. I also feel disconnected from reality, almost like irrational took control over my rational life. I act nonsense. I'm controlled by my contamination obsession every day, for every single second of my life. I need to put my clothes out of the room just in case some contaminants went into them. I wash my hands multiple times per hour, and I need to make my girlfriend follow strict rules in order to prevent my anxiety. I feel hopeless. If you are not already in therapy for your OCD, I truly recommend you sign up for it. The severity of your OCD sounds like it's to the point where it is affecting your daily life and sleep. I hope you are able to find the help you need. Story number 3. I once trolled 2 young kids into leaving my older brother, my best friend, and I, alone, and lied to my mom that we were playing hide and go seek. Okay, this is going to make me sound like a jerk, but we just didn't want to hang with them anymore. But I didn't bully them in the sense of insulting them to get them to leave us alone. I had done it in an unconventional way. So here's the story. When I was about 11 or so years old, my best friend, we'll call him G, also 11, would frequently come over to my house and hang out with my older brother, we'll call him H, 14, and me. Behind our house was a neighbor with these 2 obnoxious kids, 2 boys, we'll call them T and J, about 8 and 6. These 2 kids would also frequently come over at around the same time, and we'd have let them hang with us. At first it was alright. They played in our driveway, dribbling basketballs and shooting balls into this crappy plastic net that we had. But soon, we would end up doing whatever they wanted to do, like running around playing tag and hide and seek, or talking about Pokemon even though they didn't know jack about Pokemon, all of which got boring for us. It reached the point where at least one of them was running up to our house every other day, regardless of the time, to hang out with at least me. I seemed to be their favorite. We grew tired of them and tried to put up with them as much as we could. Then one day, R came over to hang out with H and me. I noticed that our neighbor and the two kids weren't home as their car wasn't in the driveway. Right away, we went down to the garage to play some mini hockey, and everything was great, until about an hour and a half later when I heard two familiar high-pitched voices outside the garage door getting louder. We weren't expecting them home so soon. We stopped as T and J asked, through the door, if they could play with us. We didn't make a peep as they continued asking. Suddenly, they started screaming and pounding on the garage door, asking to be let in. We knew things were going to get out of hand if we didn't do something. So I ran around the house and locked all the doors, including the balcony door on the second floor, although that door was made of glass and could have easily been shattered with rocks. Still, I locked that sucker, and my mom came out from the kitchen and asked what we were doing. I said we were playing hide and seek and she shrugged it off. At that moment, R and H emerged from the garage and were now standing upstairs with me. We jumped behind the couch, which was next to the window. We kept our heads down so T and J wouldn't see us, but that we could catch glimpses of them running around. There was maybe about 3 feet of the wall between the windowsill and the floor. At some point, maybe 20 minutes or so later, they got the hint and left, and we never saw them again. Or at least I thought I wouldn't see them again. T, the older brother of the two, would eventually go to the same high school as me. And one day in high school, I saw him walking down the hall and he recognized me as well. But all he said was hi, and nothing else, and kept walking as if there was no history between us. I said hi as well, but deep inside I felt horrible for the way we treated him and his younger brother. I wanted to tell him I was sorry for what I did, but I never got the chance because he was always hanging out with his friends doing stuff and then moved away 2 years later. To this day, I still haven't seen him and I don't know where he is. But T, if you're reading this, I'm sorry. Kids can be so cruel, but we were all kids once and didn't always want to play with kids that weren't our ages. It's really nice that you want to extend an apology to T. I am sure he would appreciate it if he knew. Story number 4. I used to steal vending money to purchase vending items. So I used to be in charge of all the vending machines at my old job. That included ordering the stuff, refilling the machine, and collecting the money from it. I never stole more than a few bucks at a time. Every item was priced below $1, and I honestly don't feel all that bad about it. Like, I feel bad because stealing is morally wrong, but they also underpaid me and treated me like crap most of the time, so I feel like it was somewhat justified. Anyway, that's my confession. It's lame, I know. The comments on this one made me laugh. Why didn't you just steal the food directly instead of buying it with stolen change? Maybe the stolen product was easier to track, but still. I'm glad you're not at that job anymore and I hope you are better compensated at your new one. Story number 5. I tell my daughter that I'm welding in the garage so that she stays inside, but really I'm sneaking off to smoke the devil's lettuce while she plays in her room. I'm a horrible father. Just like with parents who drink, as long as you are not neglecting your child or your fatherly duties, and she is well provided for and happy, then I see no issue. Now, I did grow up with parents who smoked the devil's lettuce and I now do so myself, but I do not and will not have children of my own. I do not think you are a horrible father. You're not smoking it in the same room as her. I would think differently if you were. Story number 6. I've been lying about getting assignments done at work and I'm about to get fired. Again. February 6, 2024. I deserve what's coming, but wanted to get some things off my chest. This is long because I've never been honest about everything before. I was a smart kid growing up, and lots of adults thought I had a lot of potential. Even in 5th grade and onwards, when I started to struggle with getting homework done, everyone viewed me as smart. I would lie consistently about why I hadn't turned in certain assignments, or why my teachers didn't receive them. I went through high school without failing any classes, thankfully, but knew I could have done better. Fast forward to college, and things started off well. Great grades for the first semester. Then, as things went on, things got worse. Grades plummeted. I stopped going to class because I was afraid of how people would view me. Lied to everyone about how I was doing. I flunked out. Fast forward to my first professional job outside of my failed attempt at college. It was at a major organization that I had previously interned with, and I lied about having graduated. Things started off well, but then when it came time to do certain self-paced tasks, I just didn't do them. I kept on telling myself, "Oh, I can do it later." Only later never came. I eventually got diagnosed with ADHD, but it was too late. My bosses found out I didn't do a major, super important task that I'm supposed to do. I tried lying and making excuses, but I got fired. Fast forward to more recent times. I finished my bachelor's online, which was awesome, got a new job, and even started a master's program. New job and master's program started off great, but you guessed it. Over time in my program, I stopped doing my assignments as I was having such trouble motivating myself to get started. And since I work from home, I kept on telling myself I could do things later and would distract myself by playing video games or literally just staring at my phone, endlessly scrolling. Now I have 3 incompletes from last semester that I need to finish within 2 weeks, or I fail those classes. I haven't even started on those assignments. But the worst part, and what brings me to post, is the situation at work now. Once again, I didn't do a super important task I'm expected to do. Once again, I got caught. And once again, I lied and said I had done it and that there must have been a computer error. Basically, I was supposed to monitor sales calls, take notes, and submit monitoring forms. While I did do some monitoring, I didn't do any of the forms and didn't take extensive notes. The higher-ups don't believe me. My boss is gutted because she's advocated for me in the past. But I think they're still trying to give me some benefit of the doubt. Now they want copies of all my notes, which I obviously don't have. This gives me 2 options: lie again and make up some notes, and pretend I did everything I was supposed to, or come clean about lying. I know option 2 is the right answer. But when I got fired the first time, my boyfriend was so disappointed. He wants to be with someone capable and driven. I'm not being pessimistic when I say if I lost my job again, he would break up with me. I would have to tell everyone what a failure I am. I might even have to drop out of my master's program because I'm barely making ends meet as it is. All these pressures drove me to seriously consider suicide yesterday. Thankfully, I'm a bit calmer now, and I know I would never want to do that no matter how bad things get. I'm so scared, so ashamed, and so disgusted with myself. I've been telling everyone that I'm okay, and just lying. My parents will be so disappointed. Sorry, I know this was long. Update. Also, am I supposed to edit my post to provide an update? I'm not on Reddit much, so I don't know. February 8th, 2024. Thank you for all of your comments, seriously. I really appreciated the wide variety of responses. When I wrote this post, I was leaning towards making up the notes. But upon reading your comments, I reflected and realized that if anything were to change, I needed to be honest with myself and others, and face the consequences, whatever they may be. I wrote a long email to my boss outlining all that I'd been struggling with and told them that I hadn't done the monitoring and trapped myself in a lie. I told them that I would do whatever it takes to rebuild trust, but that I understand if I needed to be terminated. I expressed my gratitude for their support, and apologized for failing when they have advocated for me so much. Once I sent the email, it was a weird mixture of emotions. I was obviously super nervous, not sure what would happen, but it was also freeing. It felt good to just send the email and get it out there that I'm not okay. Didn't hear from my boss for a full day until I got invited to a call with them and HR. I was expecting the worst, but I'm so happy to say that I was not terminated. I'm going on a PIP, which is honestly exactly what I could use. I'm so grateful. One thing that helped was that I've succeeded in many other aspects of my job. Even if I had been terminated though, I know I would have done the right thing by coming clean. It was the only way to potentially break the pattern. In terms of the recommendations, I am on medication but had only just started seeing a therapist. We only had one session prior to my post. I don't take medication all the time because of how it affects my appetite, but I'm definitely more productive when taking it. I think a lot of you are spot on though in that this is more than just ADHD, and my therapist has since recommended antidepressants. Since I came clean, I've been on a roll with productivity. I even worked out, but of course, the real challenge is keeping it up. I'm also going to drop out of one of my classes for my master's program. This will delay my graduation for a full year because of prerequisite stuff. I'm going to talk to my parents tonight and be honest with them about how I'm feeling. I already told them that I wasn't feeling great, and they're worried about me. The hardest step coming up is actually finishing my incompletes as well as telling my boyfriend that I'm delaying graduating by a year. I think that will be a real test to see if I'm actually on the right track, or just getting a temporary boost from being honest and not being terminated. I started the app Habatica, and it's been helpful for the past couple of days. I'll try to update again at the end of the month to let y'all know how that went. I know other people said that they're also in similar situations, lying to themselves and others. I highly recommend coming clean. I don't know if this will lead to lasting change, but at least right now I can say that I hope and believe it will. And now, there are people who know what I'm struggling with and are even willing to provide support. I was incredibly lucky in how my company reacted. But even if I had been fired, the only way I think I would actually change is by starting to be authentic and honest with myself and others, regardless of the consequences. Thanks y'all! I'm glad to end this video on a good note considering the seriousness of some of this post. I'm so thankful to hear that this poster is getting the help that she needs and that posting her confession helped lead her to a better outcome, rather than spiraling into a worse circumstance. Burnout is something I have deeply struggled with myself, and it has taken me years to get to the point I am at now. And that doesn't even come close to how clean my home used to be, how productive I used to be, and especially how happy I used to be. But there has been improvement with the help of years of therapy and medications. One thing I've really learned from burnout is that it's a lot easier to prevent it than it is to recover from it. Some people suffer from burnout so badly that they are never able to fully recover or return to work. For anyone else who suffers from burnout, can you share your recovery process? I am sure this poster would benefit from understanding the importance of preventing burnout going forward. My biggest suggestion is to rest. Learn to not feel guilty from resting, and rest for as long as you need to. Sometimes this looks like bed rotting for me, but luckily I have a wonderful puppy who loves to cuddle, so I ensure I get some benefits while I rest. Thank you for joining us for today's journey through the whispers of the web. Share your thoughts and suggestions for our next adventure. If you're not yet a part of our whispering community, click the subscribe button and click the bell for notifications to never miss out on another story. Join us next time as we uncover another enthralling tale from the web. Until our next whisper.